Hi guys, just a quick video of the Kerbal space program. This game has a free demo, which is excellent, and then there's the paid version, which I have. The game is made by Squad, copyright 2011-2012. This is version 0.16, I think, whatever, I don't know. It's currently a sandbox game which updates itself kind of like Minecraft does. So, it's an excellent game, I love it, and another awesome thing about it is that they, Squad, the people who made this game, on their website give permission to people to post videos as long as you say, Squad was responsible for its production and link to their website. So that's what I'm going to do because they specifically let you, which is awesome. Anyways, here's the... sorry. Still recovering from the plague, kind of. Or whatever I have. Ouch. This is the Kerbal Space Center. Here's a space plane hangar. I've never built a space plane that could get off the launch or the runway. Here's the tracking station, which, as you can see, we can actually check on where things are. Things in space, sort of. We have Urus 3, which landed on Mun! Ha ha ha! Also, in memory of Neil Armstrong, the first man to land on the moon, on Mun, on the coordinates where the lunar lander touched down, they have a little memorial, sort of, for him. So that was really cool of them to put that in. So I haven't updated to the latest version. I'm one version behind it. That's the only thing that they added for that update. So I have 2 spaceships in orbit, the Fehu rockets, which are the ones I built just for orbiting, and the Urus 3 landed, which is just for landing. And as you can see, I've got a lot of space junk surrounding the planet, Kerbal. There's Kerbal, well, buried in the space junk now. There's Kerbal. There's the Mun. There's Minimus, the second moon, which, as you can see, Mun orbits straight east to west. Minimus has a slight tilt to its orbit, which makes it a lot harder to reach. It's also harder because you have to deal with Mun's gravity to get to it. And then there's the Sun. And I've got more space debris from attempts to orbit the Sun and just plain screwing up and missing my chance to get other orbits. Here's the launch pad, we'll go there later. Here's the vehicle assembly building, where you build stuff. We're going to build a rocket from scratch. We're going to take the Command Pod Mark 1, it's the smallest command pod, and the first thing you need to do is put a parachute on it. I said on it. There you go. The next thing you want is a stack decoupler. That's the big one that I should not have grabbed. Here's the little one. This means now that the command pod and parachute will detach from the rest of the rocket and splash down safely. So, if you're building a basic rocket, you need that. Actually, we're going to load some of the other ones I've built. And I'm recording this because I mentioned that I'd gotten stuff into orbit and actually landed on Mun, and someone asked me how I did it. So, here is my first successful thing to make it into orbit. This has some design flaws. These things here, these rockets, there's no connectors between them, the strut connectors, which means that they wiggle. And that wiggling means that it will try to go out of control, which is why it has these canards here to get it to go in a straight line to get it into the atmosphere. So that's the Fehu 1. Here's the Fehu 2. It's not my best design. As you can see, it's really freaking huge. Yeah, there's a Fehu 1 rocket inside all of these solid fuel boosters. These connectors, there's 150 of them holding this thing together so it doesn't fall apart. This thing is not cost effective, but it does get into space. Easier than the Fehu 1. The Fehu 3 is really my favorite so far, out of all of the Fehu rockets. As you can see, it's much smaller than the Feihu 2. It's much more efficient than the Feihu 1. It can get all this into orbit. And it's also interesting because this is the first rocket where I was able to have multiple stages firing at the same time. With Feihu 1 and 2, I would have the boosters fire, and then I would have, when those were done, I would have the liquid engines fire. With this one, I figured out that by clicking and dragging stuff over here, you can make different parts. You can basically select when stuff fires. So I was able to build more efficient rockets, beginning with Feihu 3. Feihu 4 is my attempt to make something less expensive to get into space. And as you can see, it is much smaller, and there's one orbiting Kerbal right now. So, yeah, this is the more cost-effective design. Finally, Urus 1 and 2 can't even make it out of the atmosphere. Urus 4, I'm still working on. Urus 3, basically all this is it's a Feihu 3 with landing gear and ladders. And I've landed this on Mun successfully. So right now, we're going to go back. We're going to build a rocket from scratch. We're going to redo everything I undid. Now, the cheapest thing that you can possibly get into space is... Okay, these are large liquid fuel tanks. These are the small ones. These are for a larger type of rocket. I mean, as you can see, they're huge. But the cheapest thing that I've seen get into space, and the easiest to build, it's really hard to get it to actually fly into space. We've already built the main section of the rocket. Now, this is the snap to angles. If we do this, we can move things around it well. Snap to angles snaps it to an angle, literally. We want to have it be 6. First of all, there's like the straight on. We'll need these solid fuel boosters. Actually, I hate using those solid fuel boosters. We're going to use the cheap radial decoupler. As you can see, here we have 1. Here we have 2 that are symmetrical to each other. 3, 4, and 6. We're going to need the 6 and the solid fuel booster. That will get into space. However, it takes a really good pilot to get into space, and I'm not a really good pilot. So we're going to scrap that design completely. What we need is the Advanced SAS module. You pretty much want to put this on everything. It really, really helps you fly. We'll take the tiny engine. That will be the part that will be in orbit. We want a radial decoupler. Well, not a radial, stack decoupler. What am I thinking? Anyways, we'll take that. Now, will this... I have problems with this thing being finicky about placing this combo specifically. Maybe 3? No, 4. And it worked. Whatevs. Okay. Instead, we're going to place 6 radial decouplers? Yeah. 6 radial decouplers. We're going to have that engine there. Wait, no, not that. Screw that. We'll build 2 of those. Yep. And now we'll do the 6 radial decouplers, kind of in the middle. Add some fuel tanks. And very importantly, fuel lines as well. There we go. Now let me see. We want this to fire in stage 6. There's... We'll move these down into stage 5. What this means is that this rocket will fire and draw from these 6 fuel tanks here. Then I'll hit the spacebar button, which will cause these empty fuel tanks to eject, and it'll make the rocket lighter, allowing for this smaller part to fire with full fuel tanks. So there's that. And just for the sake of not having it fall apart, we're going to put connective struts connecting that to that. Okay. Next, we want another stack decoupler. And 3 of these, 1 of those. Trying to think of how I want to do this part now. Well, the problem is that we need this. Currently it's set up so that this engine and this engine are firing at the same time. That is a recipe for disaster. It's also set up so that this stack decoupler is set up to go on after this has started burning. That is a huge problem. So, yeah. We're going to add another phase and move this stack decoupler down. Okay. Currently this rocket still works. Now, how do I want to do this? I'm trying to think of if I want to use liquid fuel or boosters, or a combination of the two. Yeah, we'll just have these solid fuel boosters attached. Normally, they're not going to eject. Get the powerful engine. Next, add that. And connective struts so it doesn't wiggle or fall apart. Okay. Actually, we're going to add something here. We are going to add RCS fuel. These are for little thrusters that are very important because they help stabilize the ship and maneuver in a vacuum. Well, maneuver it, period, really. We're going to put those right at the top. You can actually, once you have this RCS fuel thing, you can place these on any section of the rocket, and any boosters, or RCS fuel boosters? Thrusters. Any thrusters will fire as long as they're connected. So, okay, more connective struts. Okay, looks a little weird, but we'll go with it. It should work. And even though I'm really confident that this will get into space, I'm going to add one more thing. These. And, oh my god, where are these? Okay, seriously, where are those firing back there? No. No, no, no. You fire up here. I want a new phase 7. They'll have these detaching. Okay. Next, we're just going to add these little dudes. They're firing where I want them to. Okay, Untitled Spacecraft, let's launch. They also added a Neil Armstrong Kerman to commemorate, yeah. So, just awesome in general.